Our film begins with a getaway driver waiting for his crew in a Miami bank. Following a brief car chase, the driver reveals himself as Special Agent Costello of the FBI. Officer Costello is a professional cop and a womanizer. He's working undercover to take down a drug-dealing gang leader, and he's been working undercover for quite a while now because he got really close with this crew. Matter of fact, he got so close that he went to the gang leader's sister's wedding, and he did her. He did his sister, and he also did his wife, and he provides photographic evidence for that as well. And as he was taunting the gang leader, apparently this dude used to be an acrobat or something, because he manages to do this flip and take one of the officer's weapons, but just before he discharges, Officer Costello shoots his own partner and then the gang leader. Yeah, pretty rough stuff. Anyways, somewhere on the highway, a gang of corrupt cops led by Raymond hijack an armored truck. Raymond's son, Reed, pulls a woman out of her car so that the resulting explosion wouldn't kill her, and they use this kind of weird bomb. I gotta admit, that thing was pretty cool. So anyways, they blow off the door, and then they steal a bunch of stuff from the truck and make their escape. And meanwhile, in California, we see John Baker, a trainee who's training to become a patrolman, a cop. John Baker is a former X Games competitor who is now looking to become an officer. He used to do a lot of motorcycling. Matter of fact, he did so much motorcycling, he has about maybe 20 to 40 injuries on his body. Yeah, and we see him fail a series of very simple tests. He scores really low, even below the handicapped officers. The only thing that he scored above everyone was his motorcycle practice, because this dude was a pro. And his superior tells him that he scored really low on his tests. And when she asks him why that is, he tells her that his marriage is kind of in a slum now, and since his wife's father used to be a cop, he thought that maybe if he can be a cop, she'd be attracted to him again. His superior, Hernandez, sympathizes with him, and she grants him this prohibitionary approval. So he's now technically a cop. And then we see Officer Costello again. His captain is pretty pissed at him, and he tells him that shooting his partner Alan was not really the way to go about things. And he also tells him that maybe he has a little bit of an addiction with the ladies, because his captain also knows that he slept with the perp's sister and wife. Anyways, his boss assigns him to go undercover with the CHP to take down these corrupt cops within their detail. And he's given the undercover name Francis Poncherello. I don't know why people hate the name Francis, but they do. And Costello, or should I say Poncherello, is now gonna team up with John. You know, the guy with the motorcycle? Yeah, that guy. They meet in the locker room, and awkwardly, when John approaches Poncherello, or should I say Ponch, while not wearing pants, he gets a little iffy with that, cause he's not really okay with physical contact with other men. And someone else who knew John, who was an X Games guy as well, comes to greet him, and he sees them really getting touchy, and that just disgusts the shit out of him. This is actually a pretty good scene. I really want you guys to watch this movie. It's pretty cool. Around the city, the dirty cop Kurtz and his gang strike again. Kurt holds one of the truck drivers at gunpoint as Officer Parrish and his partner TJ are flying overhead in a helicopter. TJ is part of Kurt's gang, and he's about to blow his cover since the truck driver is TJ's boyfriend. TJ looks at Parrish before jumping out of the helicopter to his death. After that, Kurt flees the scene. Ponch and John begin their investigation by interviewing the woman who Reed pulled out of the car and witnessed the robbery. She mentions the leader was being referred to as LT. During that moment, John gives the woman a ticket and tries to ticket as many people as possible to meet his quota. And since he's very desperate to prove himself as a cop, he's kinda overcompensating with the police work. Most of the officers can't help but laugh at John, including Kurtz, who's still part of the CHP. And the overcompensation doesn't stop there. John pulls over a driver for going too fast, and the man tries to show him some kind of gold widow's card that gives him some kind of special privilege. But John isn't having any of that. Ponch pulls him over to the side and lets the driver go because John is just embarrassing himself at this point. And during their investigation on the corrupted cops, Ponch and John start to bond a little. Ponch is very difficult to get along with as he's a little stuffy, and John is way too outgoing. And since John doesn't know that Ponch is undercover, without meaning to, he's getting in his way. And they get radioed about armed suspects, and it turns out it's Kurtz and his team again. As they were chasing after Kurtz, John saves Ponch when he was nearly struck by a truck on the road, leading to his motorcycle getting wrecked. And the next morning, John gets sick because he had a lot of operations and he takes pills so that his muscles move pretty swiftly. But on really cold days, his muscles get really stiff and he can't really move. And this time, he couldn't even move to take his pills, so he gives a call to Ponch to come help him out. He also calls for his wife Karen, but she was too busy with her not-so-secret lover Rick, and she just ignores him. So when Ponch gets to John's house, he asks for a favor. He needed him to carry him into the bathroom, and he was already naked, and Ponch faces a little difficulty here because he doesn't really want to touch a naked man. But he still does it, and he accidentally face plants into John's groin, and he throws him into the bathroom. They both laugh it off, but it was a pretty funny scene. So anyways, after all of this, they go visiting TJ's wife, and the guy runs into Parrish, who's annoyed that the two are meddling in the case. Ponch mentions LT, which Parrish says stands for lieutenant, and both John and Ponch didn't really know what that meant. They both thought it was some kind of like nickname. And looking through the database of active lieutenants in the area, they come across Kurtz. They confront him at the gym, but he tells them to screw off since they have no proof that he has done anything, and they can't really link him to the murders or any of the robberies. Kurtz and his gang pull off another heist in the streets, and this time with Ponch and John on their tails. Ponch goes after Reed on his motorcycle after learning Reed is involved with handling unmarked bills with his associates. Some police workers from the CHP on the road try to stop the chaos by holding up a wire, but Reed runs through the wire and gets decapitated. When Kurtz learns about his son's death, he gets enraged and slams into John with his truck. And instead of continuing their operation and catching Kurtz, Ponch told them to carry John to the hospital. The other officers, including Ava, go to visit him there. Ava asks John if she should take him home since he's pretty beat up, but he tells her that his wife is gonna come over and she's gonna take him home. He waits for Karen to come and bring him home, but she never shows. And Ponch is found by Peterson on his way to the hospital, and his captain, Peterson, confronts him for botching the investigation with his antics and for attempting to have a sexual encounter with his captain. And the night before, he was trying to have some kind of sexy FaceTime with Lindsay, but he ended up FaceTiming the wrong Lindsay, who turned out to be his captain. So his captain, Peterson, fires him for being too reckless with this investigation. But upon returning home with the help of Ponch, John finds out that Karen sold the house without his notice. He's now alone and disgraced with Ponch. They find a new lead, and when they learn that Reed's full name is Raymond Reed Kurtz Jr., they find out that it's the same guy that John competed with at the X Games. And as John and Ponch discover more about this crime, Kurtz gets ready for another heist with his accomplices. Fellow CHP officers Grieve and unexpectedly Lindsay are also corrupt. Apparently. And to make things worse, Kurtz kidnaps Karen and holds her hostage for Ponch and John to go rescue her. They enlist the help of CHP officers and get the wrong Lindsay to officially instate Ponch to the CHP. So Ponch and John arrive at the warehouse to confront the villains. They untie Karen, but a shootout occurs and Ponch gets his 3 fingers shot off by Kurtz. John fights with Grieve and knocks him out. Kurtz points his gun at John's partners after Lindsay hands it to him in front of Ponch and John, and Kurtz shoots at John, but Ponch dives in to save him, and he was pretty lucky because the bullet ricochets off John's metal plate arm and into Kurtz's head, killing him. And that is pretty much how the plot concludes. 2 months later, we see Ponch and John are official partners in the CHP, and we see them singing happily as they drive their motorcycles on the road. It's a pretty good one. I hope you guys check it out, and leave a comment if you liked my recap. Also leave a like, subscribe to my channel, and I will see you guys on the next recap. Bye.